Welcome back to another episode of Mean Girl Pod.
Today's an exciting one. Before you tell us about your monster drink, because you know I'm going to ask, Jordan and I are going to do, there it is, it's the red one. Jordan and I are going to do a catch up. We're going to talk about moving in with the boys, anniversaries, Europe vacations. We'll do our whole little catch up. And then we're going to have on a very exciting guest, Daniella Monet, who Jordan and I are like, we just had the conversation with her. It's an incredible one. Childhood actress turned to influencer, content creator, wellness advocate. So it's a great conversation.
Yes. And now I will tell you about my monster. Ultra red. Isn't that fun? Like a fun, bright color. Oh, I'm so bad with the camera.
Yeah. Is the M green?
No, it's silver. Does it look green to you?
Well, I'm far away from my laptop, so I can't quite see it. But yeah. Oh, yum. I'm jealous of that.
Okay. Not to jump right into it, but I need to know how your birthday was and how Europe was.
My birthday, well, okay, so Europe was great. I feel better in Europe than I do in America, which I think is because somebody told me that I would, because there's more salt in the food over there. And so I felt like great. And we were with Harrison's family, and it was so much fun. Like, I've never been on a family vacation like that. They plan one thing a day. So it's not like so go, go, go. It's like you have a boat day and then dinner at the house, or you like hang out at the house and then you like go out for dinner. And so I think like I'll plan all my vacations like that forever. And so that we were in Mallorca with them, and it was just like fabulous. Like, it was truly fabulous. And then we went, that was for his mom's 70th birthday. So it was like a special trip too. And it was so funny because when we started dating, I remember him telling me about this trip he was going on. And I was like, maybe he's inviting me, but I can't really tell. And then fast forward to now, it's like I'm 6 months pregnant with your kid. So like, I feel like I'm in the family. Like, his mom calls me his daughter-in-law. So it's like, well, it's just like flashes light on how fast it happened. And then we went to London for my birthday and stayed in Soho Farmhouse, which is like an hour outside the city, which you don't have to be a member at Soho House to go here. It's a top 5 place I've ever been, just in terms of like the beauty of the England countryside. Truly like remarkable. Like, you go some places in there, it feels like a set on a movie, and you go to the place and it's beautiful, but then you drive 5 minutes away and like you're back in the city. This rolling countryside rolls for hours. So you're like really truly in the England countryside, and so it was magnificent.
What did Harrison get you for your birthday?
So I didn't the trip was what I wanted, and let me think here, because he kept bringing this up. I can't remember anything. I mean, when I tell you, I'm out of it. Yeah, no, the trip and like moving into the house, like he's just like buried in birthday presents basically. But he asked me, he was like, "Do you want me to like?" He didn't say, "Do you want me to get you a gift?" I think I just made it very clear up front, because like, he's kind of my travel agent right now. Like, I just can't do very much. And so oh my gosh, while we were there, I went to the spa and there was like 3 treatments, and like that was the present, but the present was the trip.
I mean, let me tell you, an experience and a gift you can actually physically use, like a spa experience, is my kind of gift. That's incredible.
It was a prenatal massage, and then like hair treatment thing and like a facial. It's like all I wanted.
Wait, for a prenatal massage, like what's different? Like, do they rub your belly, or what's different about that?
Well, so I've gotten one in every trimester. So the first and second trimester, you can lay on your stomach, and because you can't lay on your stomach ever, so it's like the best ever. They have like a little inner tube almost that you lay on, and the belly sits in it. But I guess when you get to third, like, our tummies are too big. So I sat on a chair up against, like, you sit on a chair kind of slanted, and they do your back, and then you get on your front, and they do like put oil on the belly and stuff. But they're the best. I don't love massages. I love prenatal massages.
Wait, that sounds incredible. And also, you moved into a house. You finally found a house.
My God, I finally
Your life, so much has happened in a 3-week span.
I know, and I'm so happy. All I wanted, like I haven't been able to take a shower yet because they just turned on the hot water this morning, but I don't even care. Like I am so happy to be in this house. Like I just feel like a weight is lifted off me. Like there's a nursery now, like all the stuff that I've been getting for the baby that people just like gift me along the way. I've just been like carrying in a suitcase, and it doesn't really feel real unless you have a room where like she's going to sleep. And so it's just like pregnancy is hard enough, but eat out 3 times a day on it. And it just, like where's your gym? You can't even walk. Like that, you kind of feel really displaced. So having like a refrigerator, a washer dryer, like now I feel like I can sort of take care of myself.
Listen, I don't know how your mental health is stable with the amount of change you've gone through in the past few months. Like I am not pregnant, and moving into an apartment I rent is stressful. So I can't even imagine being pregnant, moving to a new state, going from Airbnbs to Europe to a house that you finally can call your own.
And I'll say this, maybe this is how pregnancy I think is going to be too on me. I moved into the house and I think back, that wasn't that bad. It was really worth it. And pregnancy, I know the baby's going to come out and I'm like, that wasn't that bad.
Let's have 5 more.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it wasn't even that bad. They say you forget like immediately. And so the second I moved in, I was like, I was fine in all those hotels. And it's like, you hated it. Okay, so speaking of moving, moving in with Pete.
Yeah, so this episode, the day we're recording today, is the year anniversary from me meeting Pete from our first date.
Really?
Yeah, so I've officially known him for 1 year.
Oh my gosh, happy 1 year.
Thank you.
Are you
I know
sure?
it's
Oh yeah. For some reason I thought it was November. I was like, that doesn't seem right at all. It's July. Yes,
like our boyfriend girlfriend 1 year isn't to the end of August, but like our first date was a year ago today.
Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing?
We're gonna go to the bar that we met at. So like nothing crazy, because I don't want to get into the habit of making like the 1 year anniversary of us meeting like a big deal. I want it to be like our anniversary when we started becoming boyfriend girlfriend. Like I want to make that day the most special. So today we're just gonna go to the bar we met and like just like have a night to ourselves.
And where did you guys meet? Did he pick it or did you? I can't remember.
So he picked it, and he picked a bar called Ophelia's, which was by my old apartment and by his office. It's like it's in Midtown.
Okay, and he picked it by your old apartment because it was by your old apartment?
Yeah, I think it was because, well, he got really lucky. His office is close to my old apartment, so he was like, win-win for both of us. I can walk and so can you.
That's right. Okay, that's amazing. So you guys are going to go to Ophelia and just like have a night.
And just have a night to ourselves. I feel like summer's so chaotic, and we've been like running around with our heads cut off, and he leaves in a week for a family vacation for a week. So we're like, let's just like have tonight for ourselves and just like hang out with each other and just spend quality time together.
Yeah, that's like the cutest. So you guys dated casually for 2 months,
like
give or take? Month and a half.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so then your real like dating anniversary is end of August.
Yeah, August 27th.
Oh man, this is so exciting. I can't believe, it feels like longer than a year. What does it feel like to you? Longer or less or more?
Oh my God, so much longer. Yesterday someone was like, so when are you moving in with, we were just like talking about, she just got married and she's like, do you have a boyfriend? I was like, I do. She's like, do you guys live together? I was like, no, we're actually moving in. Like, so next week I'm getting a U-Haul, moving in. And I was like, but we've only been dating a year. And I was like, wait, we've only been dating a year. That's wild. But it feels like 20 years.
It does. And it's just like the most stable. I think that's why it's like a solid year. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this like up and down kind of year. It was like a true real life year.
Like a very secure relationship for a year.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. Okay, I can't wait until you are officially moved in and like hearing about how the morning routine or how just like the dishes. Like I can't wait to hear about it all. Quick pause to talk about ZocDoc because being adult has its high points, like you can eat whatever you want whenever you want, but it also has its not so fun points like taxes and figuring out what's for dinner every night, and last but not least, healthcare, having to make your own doctor's appointments, show up for those doctor's appointments. So enter ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book the appointment. I just used this the other day because I'm in a new city and I needed to go to the dentist, and I needed to go that day because my crown cracked in half. So I got on ZocDoc and I was able to go, and the insurance covered my crown. So it was like the best thing on the planet. I use ZocDoc all the time. So we're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye to skin, and so much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours. And you can even score some same-day appointments like I was able to. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com, ZocDoc.com/mean girl, and instantly book top-rated doctors today. That's ZocDoc.com/mean girl today.
I know, I don't mean to be like a negative Nelly, but I feel like until we move out of his apartment, it's not going to feel like we are officially moved in, because I'm not like, because like it'd be like if you moved into, or it's like if Harrison, when he moved into your New York place for like a short time, he's like, this is still Alex's apartment. Like, we need to get a place together.
We talked about this. I feel like, and this is, so he's actually been gone. I wasn't like saying it because like safety reasons, but like he gets home today and this airs on Monday, but he hasn't slept in the house yet because he's been gone since I moved in, but he gets back today. And so one thing we were talking about on the phone was like, we haven't lived together yet, really, because he was in my place and he's like, I just wouldn't put the dishes here, like I just wouldn't do any of this, and now it's like moving in together, you'll feel that the first time of just like we both have to make the decisions, and it's like a whole new.
Yeah, like I'm putting my clothes in like the storage closet. Like I'm like, Pete, just keep the bedroom closet to yourself. Like I don't want to deal with any of that until we, like his decorations even, I'm like, I truly don't plan to change much in that apartment. But then let me tell you, when we move into our own apartment together, we're going to do a full rebrand.
But his apartment, from what I can see on Zoom, is great.
It is, but it's not my style at all. Like it's very, I don't know if acoustic is the word, but it's like he has guitars and like pictures of surfing and a lot of like darker woods, and I'm like, well, actually I don't know what I want. Sometimes I'm like, I want modern, but then sometimes I'm like, I want fun colors. But there'll be a lot of change.
I remember you sent, like when you guys first started dating, you were out in Connecticut with him, and you sent a photo of him watching Mean Girl Pod, but it had like his whole house in it, and
yeah,
there like, I don't know if acoustic, like it's like very, it's like artsy musician, like I don't know how to say it, but you're right, there was a lot of that on the, so it's funny that when you zoom there, are you there right now or are you at home?
No, I'm at home right now.
Okay, because I feel like when you zoom there, it looks like modern whites, but no, I guess.
Yeah, the way I have it set up is like I pick like the whitest wall in his apartment just so there's not like clutter in the background. But like if you were to look to both sides of me when I'm there, it's like a wall of all like art, and then another wall of like a thing he's built and like more artwork.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, it's
And
all
I'm
in
also
there.
like, let's throw everything away type of person, and he's like, I think I might need this in a few years, and I'm like,
Oh no.
no.
No. Oh yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, get it out of here. We don't need it.
Right.
Especially,
So
yeah, so true.
but so I'm excited to, I mean, I'm so excited to move in with him, but I'm really excited to get like our own place together that we both find together and like build into our own.
Yeah, you'll like merge both of your styles.
Yeah. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that'll be so exciting. But moving in together will be such a load off because you won't have to like go back and forth between like your place and his place. It'll just be like it's all in one place. So that in and of itself will feel so much better.
Oh my God, I saw a TikTok yesterday and it was like this girl being like, if you're an adult who still wears a backpack, something's wrong with you. And I'm like, that's me going to Pete's apartment every day. I wear a backpack with all of my stuff in it.
Lady, leave me alone. Come on.
I know. I'm like, me. I wear a backpack every day because I have to pack a bag and I don't want to walk a mile with like an uncomfortable bag on my shoulder.
I don't blame you. Is it a mile between the two of your apartments?
It's like 0.6.
That's okay. So nothing.
So
in New York.
in the New York heat, it is. It feels like
That's true. You
mile.
man, you still you really hate that heat.
Oh, yeah, and it's been so bad, Alex. I mean, I know Texas is so hot right now, but there's just something about being in the city when it's that hot where you're like...
It's like stinky and just like smelly. That's me.
I
love New York. I don't know why I said that. It is like a hot, steamy sauna.
One of the first times I walked outside on garbage day when it was, I think, like 92 degrees, and I like really smelt it. I had to like plug my nose, actually. I was like, wow.
That's bad. That's disgusting. It's like the zoo.
You guys, we have a very exciting guest on today. Her name is Daniella Monet. You might know her from Victorious. She's also a wellness advocate, and she also runs her own business, Daniella's Digest. And we're so excited to talk to her today. She was literally the sweetest human being we've ever spoken to. So let's welcome Daniella onto the podcast. Daniella, welcome to Mean Girl Pod.
Thanks for having me, girls.
I have a question right out of the gates for you because you followed the podcast like what? And I don't mean why do you like us?
How did I find you?
How did you find us? And what was Jordan and I were like, what kind of content about us does she like?
Okay, here it is. I actually heard you on Jason Tartick's podcast.
Oh.
And I vibed with the transparency around, the shift that you were going through at that time and just how you spoke about money. It was so refreshing. So then, of course, I found Me Girls. And then I was like, I love the energy between you two. It was just like listening to friends in your ears. So it became like my end of the day, doing my dishes, just listening to you girls chit chat about life. And so I became invested. And here I am.
Wait, I love that.
It makes so much sense because I remember Jordan and I were like, I wonder what part, because we kind of have things we talk about. And it makes sense that would be how you found us, like through Jason, but not randomly like one of our clips. And you were just like, those are my girls.
Well, I was like fangirling when your team reached out because I was like, I used to watch you on Victorious religiously. And then I'm like, now she's watching me. Like, that was a crazy moment because I was like, I love her.
Oh, that's awesome.
So speaking of that, I don't know if you read like what we want to talk to you about today, but it's basically like your transition from childhood acting to where you are now today. And I saw the reel you made. I was just like watching all of your videos and I love the one of you like, I was a childhood star. Of course, my first kiss was on TV. Of course, I didn't go to a prom. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, all of these, all these experiences that Jordan and I had as a quote unquote normal, I guess, kid. Was your first kiss really on TV?
My first 4 kisses were on TV.
That's so crazy to me.
How old were you? Not when you got your first kiss, but like when you first started on TV.
I started doing commercials when I was a kid, so I was probably like about 5 years old.
Oh, wow. So your whole childhood was really centered around the television industry.
Yeah, I grew up like in LA technically, but in the suburbs of LA. So for me, it was kind of like what I did after school. Like my friends would go to like dance and I would have an audition. And it wasn't like that weird until it started to become a little more consuming. And then it was like, well, now she's gone from school, and it's weird. Or I'd come back to school. I remember being in elementary school and I was doing a lot of Barbie commercials at the time. And of course, we're watching Barbie commercials because they're running on Nickelodeon or Disney, whatever show we're watching. And I'd come back to school and they'd be like, we saw you on a commercial. And I was like, oh, yeah, now I'm feeling different.
Right. Yeah, that would put you in a kind of a different stratosphere. But did you mind it or did you kind of like it?
I liked it. I liked the blend. I thought it was really fun to step away from school. I mean, listen, I I don't know. I wasn't really like in love with school, and I think it's also because I got a taste of like what work felt like and the excitement of being on set, and so it was hard to make that adjustment back and forth, but I think looking back, I'm really glad that I had both for as long as I did because I would have been extra weird.
So did you keep
Now I'm just sort of weird.
did you keep like the consistency of going to school until a certain point in your career? Like when was there a big change for you?
Yeah, ended up leaving at 8th grade. So middle of 8th grade was when, and I didn't get to like walk or graduate on the stage. So that was the major shift for me where I was like, wow, I'm fully committing to this now.
Wait, this is a dumb question. Did you graduate high school?
Let's talk about Athena Club, because are you guys sick of those razor burns during the summertime? Because there's nothing worse. We're showing more skin in the summer. All girls want and all boys want is for us to have those smooth legs, smoothly shaven, silky smooth. So enter Athena Club. Athena Club is the best razor on the market. You guys, Jordan started out using it, and then I finally got mine in the mail, and I was like, holy cow, this razor glides so effortlessly over your body because it has the precision engineered blades, plus it has the hyaluronic acid, which is super moisturizing, water activated serum with avocado oil that literally hydrates you as you shave. It feels too good to be true, but I promise you, it is not. It's the best razor ever. And it's an absolute steal at just $10. But don't let the price fool you. The razor feels and looks really expensive. So if you're ready to upgrade your shaving experience, which you should be, and by upgrade, I mean we're talking $10. Switch to the best razor on the market and show your skin you care with Athena Club. Head over to athenaclub.com to get their already affordable razor kit for 30% off when you use code MEANGIRL at checkout. You can also find Athena Club razors at your local Target store. Trust me, you will never look back. Happy shaving.
No. Actually, it's so okay. So there's like layers to this stuff.
Wait, this is
okay,
cool.
I technically graduated a high school. I didn't graduate the high school that like my friends went to. There was like this like high school equivalency exam that you could take. It was called the CHESPE exam, where you basically go and you get sort of like a GED type certificate at the end, which enables you to be able to work longer hours as an adult, and you don't have to have a set tutor anymore. There was also this thing that was going on around that time where some child actors would go to this place. It was like in the middle of nowhere. It was like a little office. And you would take this high school exam, which was basically like a few hours long, a bunch of high school curriculum like crammed into an exam. And when you finish it, they give you a diploma and you give them money.
Interesting.
You give them, okay.
I'm like,
Wow.
is that legal?
You know what? I couldn't tell you because the CHESPE was similar. Like there was certainly things that were going on that felt similar. The only difference was this was like a very quick, like you know, wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
So you have your GED.
I have something, and I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you where it was. Like
Yeah.
it's so weird. When I wanted to go to college at one point, I was like, wait a second, now what? You know, like I need to have like my stuff. But I think I just at the time wasn't taking it as seriously because my life was so fast paced in another direction that I thought, and it's like anything else. You're like, well, this is gonna work out, so whatever, you know. And you forget that like, yeah, you might want a backup plan at some point.
Yeah, when did you decide to pivot from being an actress to an entrepreneur or starting your own wellness community and company? Because that's like a night and day difference.
Yeah, wellness was always sort of like the through line for me. I always felt really connected to that world. I became vegan at a young age, at 10 years old. And so that was sort of like the opening of like this whole world of what is health, what does like intuitive eating look like, what does how do we feel our best, like talking about supplements and, you know, just different health regimes. So that was something that was always like my foundation throughout my life, especially when life was crazy and busy. and that pivot, I've made many pivots, I feel like, throughout my career, because I've always known that even though I love acting and I feel like it'll always be there for me, it's never going to be, well, maybe not never, but there will be lulls for sure where it's not consistent. So having other things and, other like, I guess, pipelines or whatever full that make me feel like I'm doing more that make me feel purposeful is really important. It's always been important for me.
And you have a garden. Like you're like really plant-based health. Like you have your spicy like I love that avenue for you because there's not a lot of childhood actresses or actors. Some are content creators. I saw you were like, don't call me an influencer, like as a joke. So they're content creators now, but there's not very many that have made like the complete shift into sort of this like other lifestyle brackets, like a dynamic other edge of you that we see. And I think it's cool how into it you are. Like you have the garden.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yeah, and it took me a while to get there. I've always felt like the gardening piece of it all was like just over that threshold that it wasn't for me. Like I could do the farmer's market, but like being the farmer felt like a little much. And now I'm like, what was I waiting for? Like this is everything. I think all of these different little hobbies, I guess we can call them, are really just what we all used to do, like, and I feel like there's more of a regression even on the internet. You see people like regressing back to these more simpler ways and less of like the 52-step routine just to get to like, like the gym in the morning. You're like, what just happened? I just spent so much time obsessing over wellness when really wellness is like what feeds my soul. And like maybe that's just an intuitive thing that I'm doing in the day, a practice that happens to be working for me in this moment.
Oh, I love that. So do you feel more fulfilled doing the wellness route than you did when you were acting, or is it kind of depends on?
Yeah, I love acting. I'm not gonna lie, I freaking love it. I'm not done with it. Like I'm certainly I'm dipping all my toes in right now. After having kids, well, I didn't realize, you guys, when I had kids, that the joke is I was pregnant with my first and I told my manager at the time, like, give me 3 weeks postpartum and I'm back at it, like start submitting me for stuff. And that 3 weeks turned into quite literally 4.5 years. Like it was like no joke. And you could not see it happening to me because I was really in love with work. Like I thought work defined me for a long time. It was everything. And so taking the essentially 5 years off because pregnancy, I didn't really work either, was really good for me to reflect on, like, is this a really meaningful piece of my life? And the truth is that it is. I love it. So even though wellness for me is becoming somewhat of a project or a business that I've created, it's always going to be my passion. Like I'm never going to be the person who's slinging, wellness products every day of my life for the rest of my life. Like that's not what wellness is to me. Wellness is like an honest piece of who I am and just what I want to share just because it feels right.
That's really cool. So that do you think of wellness as a job?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't pay. And I want to deconstruct the whole like commercializing of it all. It really, it to me is like, it's simplification. Like I don't want to tell anyone they need to buy anything to feel good. Like feeling good is actually less of stuff. It's less of all the things. Like certainly there are, products that I love and I use on the daily, but do I need them to feel good? No. Like you need good water, you need sunlight, you need to move your body, you need good sleep, and you need good nutrition. Like that's it.
I was going to ask you what your tips, like what would be the things you wanted to like yell from the rooftops wellness wise. If you do want to simplify it, do you have like a layer below that or like one big thing that you live by every day?
Yeah. The one thing that I found later in life that I wish I worked on earlier, which I'm not even like an expert in at all, is breathing. Because I find that even now, being that I have all these tools and I know how to cope when things get stressful, I still realize like I hold my breath or I'm not like conscious about my breath. And the second that I breathe, I feel a ton better. And what really helped me recognize how important breath work was having kids. My kids have big feelings. And like I catch myself not saying calm down. We say let's help reset. What kind of things can we do to reset? And it's always the same things. It's take a deep breath, think about the things we're grateful for. And the last one's like, do you need a huggy? And it's like when you've come down and you've become a little bit more like in your body, the huggies usually last. Until then, we're still like, no, this matters so much. Like, this feels so big. But once they do get to the point where they can breathe and they can think about something other than what they're focusing on, the huggy is like that physical touch that sometimes that works for us.
I love that. That's so cute. Alex, when you have your baby girl, you're gonna have to practice that.
I know. Well, I'm identifying with like a lot that you're talking about of like having to like work for me has become like a little overwhelming while being pregnant. And I was like, not me, you know, like there's no way that would happen to me. And so when you said that, I felt so much better. And then I've been trying to do like more nasal breathing because I find things really will overwhelm me that never would overwhelm me, like small tasks. And I can't get myself to calm down. So I've been looking into breath work, but I never thought about once the baby was on the outside, how it doesn't she could be freaking out and I'm the one that needs to calm her down. And so I'm going to have like my little tools at hand.
So true. The best piece of advice that I got from this, I call her like a parent coach, was regulating ourselves is the most beneficial tool that we will need as parents, because we so badly want to help them feel better. And sometimes just regulating ourselves and letting them feel what they want to feel, which is like a whole intense thing sometimes, because you're like, I'm really sitting here listening to what I'm listening to. But at the end of the day, like, no matter what I've tried, I cannot take the feelings away. Like, it doesn't matter sometimes what I say. They have to learn the coping tools on their own from my experience. So what's helped me the most is regulating myself. So that breath work comes in clutch. And it's also okay, like, and this was hard for me when they were little. Of course it was hard. But now I can say, like, at some point I say, like, mommy has to take a little bit of space because this noise is too loud for my ears, or you just communicate through it all. Like, mommy's doing the best she can to be patient for you, but I'm having a tricky time. And it's like all these things that I say on repeat, and it's a whole new world.
Let's talk about apostrophe, you guys. Remember, Jordan did the online dermatology appointment and was beyond thrilled with her results. So summer is here. We're all ready to look and feel confident inside and out. And we know confidence can be hard to gain. And acne can be something that causes insecure moments. And so finding a dermatologist is something that is so important and so hard to do, and it can be really expensive. So acne breakouts, rosacea, wrinkles, that can all take a toll on your confidence, and that's why we are so excited to partner with Apostrophe, the sponsor of this episode. No matter what your skincare goals are, Apostrophe has you covered. Whether it's adult acne, reduced dark spots, improved skin texture, Apostrophe has a solution for you. So we've got a deal for our audience. Get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/meangirl when you use our code meangirl. That's a savings of $15. The code is only available to our listeners, so you guys take advantage of it. To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/meangirl and click get started. Then use our code meangirl at the sign up and you'll get your first visit for only $5. Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode.
Isn't it crazy how the simplest things like breathing or communication are what really helps us? Like, we don't have to overcomplicate it. It can just be little things like that to implement in your daily life.
And that's the piece. That's like what I want to stress the most is like wellness for me. And it's funny that I'm associated with it because it feels so hoity-toity. It feels so Erewhon, which I love, but it feels like so unattainable when really it's like if we could take wellness out of the equation and we're just talking about like feeling good, it's simply the basics. You know, like we don't need the crazy Pilates class. Do I love it? Sure. You know, we don't need all the fancy smoothies. Do I love them? Sure. But like, I don't need all these things to feel good. What I do need is to understand myself and how I feel my best. And usually it's like, I need some water. I tell my kids all the time, like, have you drank water? We're big on like, when you wake up, make sure you drink water because it's like these little tweaks you'll notice. And it just helps me reflect.
Especially being female, like, I mean, I'm no doctor by any means, and I know you guys aren't either, but like it is crazy how just slowing down has helped my overall health so much, because we're taught at such a young age that you need to work out every day to be healthy. You need to run miles to be healthy. Like, we were taught all these, I don't want to call them necessarily all toxic health traits, but they kind of were in our generation. And the older I'm getting, the more I'm removing those, and I'm walking every day instead of going to the gym and going hard. I'm taking more rest days. I'm learning how to like journal in the morning. And it's amazing how the simple things that help calm me down and don't make me go are actually so much more beneficial for my overall health.
I know, and we learn now about like our cortisol and all of this like adrenaline rushing through our bodies, and those sometimes that feels great and we get that instant hit of dopamine. We also have like the come down and like the feeling of like deficiency sometimes, and it's just, I don't know. I don't like to again overcomplicate it, but I think the older you get, the more it's easier to tell like what things work and what we can tweak to just sort of make easier on ourselves.
I know, I'm learning how to lower my cortisol levels now, because I'm like, man, I get stressed out in the morning way too easily.
And life stages make everything different too. Like then you're like, oh, I think I had a grip on it, until now there's things that I had no idea were coming my way.
No grips. I totally agree with that. I feel like every time you think you have it, it's like, I don't have it.
Yeah.
So would you like, if you, because I saw you said on a video 25 years you've been plant-based, which I guess is right because you said around 10. So have you ever done a fad diet, like gone keto, or you've just always been plant-based?
Yeah, I've always been plant-based, always. And I've always been sort of the same plant-based as I was back then. So I know that like there's fads within, I think, being vegan maybe, but like I grew up Italian, right? So like my nonna had a garden and I just kind of like ate a lot of vegetables naturally. And I've never changed. So like when it comes to being vegan, I eat just whole foods. Like I don't eat a lot of like tons of alternatives. I mean, you guys, I even make my own milks, I even tried making my own butter, like, and I can't believe it's meat. Like, I'm like, who am I? So it's not, it's just more like real food. Like if it feels like it's real and I know the ingredients, that makes me feel good.
I saw your vegan butter, and then I saw you washing the blender afterwards, which was genius, by the way. But what was I going to ask you? Do you think that having this, like, I know this is kind of a weird, like, parallel, but do you think having this, like, consistent, it's not a diet, but way of eating and, like, well-being of lifestyle helped you balance being a childhood actress too? Like, it just helped you maintain your values and just sort of, like, not get caught with the wind? Do you think that was part of it?
Yeah, I think innately, if we're going there, like I probably had at the time like a need to control something. It was like a constant for me, knowing that like I feel like this works for me and I have like a play in the game. Like I have something like it's helping me regulate in some way, shape, or form. That may have been one of the points of entry, but I think over the years it's become consistent because it makes a lot of sense for me particularly. It just works. But yeah, you're right. Like, I think there was a part of me that like needed a story. And then later I read Skinny Bitch, which is a whole nother story if you haven't read that.
Wait, what is that?
It's a book, probably like it was a big deal when I was in middle school. And it was all about like factory farming and like animal agricultural as a business and like the lies behind it all and how like it's telling us one thing and it's another potentially, and how that has an effect on our health and, vanity as well. And so being 13, you're like, oh.
So I've heard of Skinny Bitch, and if you read that at 13, have you always been entrepreneurial? Have you always been like business minded or like interested? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I feel like we have similar blood in us, Alex. It's just like,
yeah, I'm like,
turn it
you
off.
were young for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't turn it off. But, it's weird. Like, even though I feel the way that I feel or I eat the way that I do, my husband's not vegan. My kids aren't vegan. Like, it works for me, and it's what works. It's like, I'm not, and though I love to, like, share plant-based recipes and things of that nature, I'm also the person who like completely respects where you are. And it took me a while to fully understand that like it's not my right to like judge anyone for how they eat. And also, being that I now value so much about like tradition and culture, like the older you get, you look back on like your family and like my nona, and I'm like, I'm like down with whatever you're about. Like if that's what makes you happy, like again, that's wellness. Like whatever makes you feel good, like that's what's working for you, and I couldn't like support that more.
I love that. I was going to ask if your husband and your kids are vegan.
Yeah, no. At one point, my husband tried it. Actually, he tried it for a while after he watched Game Changers, this documentary. And it wasn't really even from my influence. I think obviously I made it easier, but like he was genuinely, I think, influenced by that. And then went back to the ways that felt right for him. And the way that I like to frame it now, instead of using all these like labels, is I'm like, yeah, my kids are like, I don't know, 80 to 90% plant-based, you know, and then the rest we're kind of flex on. And the things I care about now that I'm a mom is like, are there artificial dyes in that? Like, are they getting a ton of sugar? Like, are they eating balanced meals? And same with my husband. He's like, I like to eat healthy, and he's probably like 80 to 90% plant-based just by chance.
I love that. I saw a video. It was like your pinned one on TikTok that you and your husband just celebrated. What was it? 10 years or 11 years of being boyfriend?
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, we've been together now almost 14 years.
Oh, so that's been pinned on your TikTok for a long time then.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find my way on TikTok, to be
No,
fair.
your TikTok is great.
I was like, what's pinned up there?
No, that was the first
She's
video.
like, I haven't logged in a year.
I know. I was like, that's the first video I saw, and I was like, wait, this is so cute. How'd you guys meet?
We met through a friend that I went to school with. She met him in Lake Havasu. Have you guys heard of Lake Havasu?
No.
It's like Vegas adjacent. It's like a total party lake, and it's so fun. And I had never been, you know, I was like sheltered, you know, and I just like never had the chance to go. And she called me one Memorial Day, what was it, 13, 14 years ago now, I'm forgetting. And she was like, I met this guy and I think he's perfect for you. And at the time she was in a relationship, so she was like, I'm going to set you guys up. And I was like, sure, whatever. And so we talked on Facebook private messenger for 3 months before he moved down. He was from up north in California, and he was away in Australia finishing school abroad. So when he moved back to California, he was like, I'm moving to LA. I want to meet you. He moved down from LA. We met, and it was literally like, that was it. And it was my first boyfriend. I dated and had experiences prior to that, but like my first like guy that I was like, oh, he's different. I think he's like just not from here, and just different mindset, different everything.
Were you in the prime of like your Victorious at that time? I'm trying to do the math.
Yeah, towards the end.
So did he know about that, or since he was like in Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he was a little older, so it wasn't like his show that he watched, but like he saw it in the hotel room when we were like talking, and he watched an episode, and I remember thinking like, that's it. It's over. You know, that was fun. And then it was fine. He was fine. He's super reserved for the most part. So I think he was almost intrigued by this idea that like I was just different than him, you know? And in our case, even though like they say opposites attract, you end up finding how similar you are. At the time, I think we looked like we were really different, and it was interesting to both of us. I was like, you're from like a movie town. You were the quarterback. Like, holy moly. Like, I was blown away by it.
I love that.
He seems really cute and sweet. I love the video you did of like, to get to him, you got to go through me.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a
that's my
fun
brother.
trend.
He was like, dude. Yeah.
He doesn't.
He
He's
seems,
like, you're such an idiot.
he just seemed like he was just chilling though. Like,
yeah, he's chill.
you guys are really cute together, and your family. Like, you guys, it's really quite. You seem like you have a good thing going on there, and I love that you know what's cool, and like I think Jordan will agree with this, because we always say like, we're big on this podcast of like what works for everybody works. Like, we're not like shove it down your throat. And I feel like sometimes with wellness, because we're all like, Jordan and I aren't the most wellness based people on the planet by like any means. And I feel like what makes it more approachable, at least to me, is somebody that's not saying do all these things, and if you don't, this is not my lifestyle. And you're like, my husband and my kids aren't even vegan. Like, I tried it after Game Changers too. It didn't work for me.
Totally. And I also am like of the mindset of like deconstructing all these ideals around like the routines and, you know, the consistency. It's like what works for you can change quite literally every day. And to give people that permission to like be in tune with their body. Like that's what's most important to me, like intuition. And I think that like we're listening so much to other people. Like I don't want to tell anyone how to feel. I just want to support people in feeling what they feel so that they can learn what works for them.
I love that. It makes me so much more willing to learn about being vegan or your wellness approaches, because I don't feel like you're preaching or forcing anything down my throat. Because like that's when I get scared, when I'm like, oh, I feel like a bad person if I stray off this path that this person is preaching. But you're just like so calm and happy about it, where I'm like, wait, I would actually be really interested in learning more.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it's a plant rich program for sure. And like the meal planner and the recipes, everything is plant forward. But in no way is it not something you can integrate into your everyday. I think, you know, a lot of us would benefit from eating more produce, more a variety of plants. And I think that there's studies that show how much that helps our microbiome and our gut, which then helps literally our immune system, our reproductive health, our stamina, our everything, our longevity. So I think that like in addition to however anyone is living their lives, they should at least like entertain the idea of like exploring plant-rich meals.
So is that, with the meal plans that you mentioned, is that under Daniella's Digest?
Yeah, so it's just like a online program where you can become a member for $99 a year, and you get access to food coaches. So if you have like questions or allergies or whatever, everything is so based on you and your personal needs. So you can put like, I don't like mushrooms, or I'm allergic to soy. Like we're good there. And then it's like, what appliances do you have in your kitchen? Like you put in like what you have and what's available to you. How much time do you have to cook? How many people are you cooking for? And then we coordinate all the recipes based on your needs. And there's macros there if you're interested in macros. You add it to a meal planner. You can check out from the app, so that way all of the ingredients for those recipes can be delivered to your door. And then there's a deal section as well. So like things like Vitamix, which I waited way too long to invest in because I was like, no, I'm not spending $500 on something. We have offers for products like that. Like the standard, you must, not must, but like what has really changed for me, like changed my life, a Vitamix. I love my almond cow. I'm looking at things around me. I'm like, there's certain things that I got really good deals on. So that way it's like you can save up to $1,000 if you were to literally just like load yourself up on the products that we have available.
Do you cook every night at home? I have two questions. How often do you cook, and do you drink?
Okay, so I stopped drinking a year and a half ago.
Oh, congrats.
Wow.
Out of nowhere for no reason. Just well, not necessarily for no reason. I have someone who was struggling with addiction at the time, and it just felt like in my face to the point where I was almost turned off by the idea of it. And in support, I was like, I'm gonna do this too, and then it stuck. I'm big on like, how do I match people's energy or feel great and have a good time without needing anything? So that was sort of like one thing for me to like challenge myself, and it's been a year and a half now. And what went along with that was coffee.
Wait. You don't drink coffee anymore either?
No coffee. And I was my husband and I were coffee connoisseurs. We would go to a place based on like what their coffee shops were. He had a coffee company. Like we were coffee.
Do you consume caffeine?
Yeah. So I'll do matcha, and that's about it. I'll do some tea. Yeah.
Do you drink soda?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Do you think you will? So do you? I also quit drinking out of like kind of like an ally or support for somebody struggling with addiction, but then I made it a year and a half, and then I started drinking again. That sounded weird. Like I got back on the horse.
I know it's weird to have the conversation because I know.
Yeah, you're kind of like, I'm gonna go back because that was really fun. But
Sure.
I'm just like socially gonna drink again. But do you say, like, I never said I'm never gonna drink again. I left it open ended.
Yeah, no, I don't
What do
say
you
that.
do? Okay.
No,
you're
I'm
just,
like
question.
To go back to like just all of it. I'm like, I want the freedom to be and do what I feel I can do, right? So it's like no labels. If I want to, I will. I even feel like, you guys, like if I have a drink tomorrow and I decide to not drink for, another 6 months, like so be it. Like I don't need to like be one thing or another. I think I just need to go off like how I'm feeling and how it makes me feel.
I love that. I know Alex and I kind of have 0 or 100 personalities sometimes. So I'm like, How did you fix that? Because I'm working on that every day.
I think this is now the 100. Like, I think now the 100, like, personality is the let me just be intuitive and not judge myself and just sort of go with, like, where I'm at and give myself the permission to, like, be able to rebuttal if I need to.
I really like that.
You're 100% in the flow. You're flowing.
In the flow. Yeah. Yeah. Because the extremes, like, they work temporarily, but they burn you out.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they're exhausting. You're so obsessed with whatever it is, but we could just become obsessed with not being obsessed, and that could be great.
There it is. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, that's actually, you're onto something.
I love that though. Like the 100 can be the flow or like the not craze part, because my brain almost broke trying to think of that, but I'm like, wait, no, it works. It works.
Yeah. It works. I think also, like, to simplify is, it's like when people say, oh, I'm going to start next month, or I'm going to start in the new year, or whatever, it's like you can literally choose to start midday something.
Right?
Yeah, we could all stop drinking right now. Like,
yeah.
Well, I'm 9 months or 7 months in. But Jordan, you could literally, like, it is crazy. You can start. We do love to set those, like, it's halfway through the year. So for the next 6 months, and it's like, just start.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like a generational thing from our parents or what, but yeah, I mean, I always remember growing up, my mom being like, okay, on Monday the diet starts, and I'm like, well, it's Tuesday, so you're just gonna wait a whole week almost. Like, why don't you just start today? She's like, no, it has to be on a Monday.
I know. It's easy to get stuck in these, like, ideas around things, and I think, like, if we're thinking too hard about, I just was talking about, like, hyperfixation and how much it affected my health growing up, like, just hyper focusing on things. And then the older you get and the more you realize, like, my husband's a good example. When I met him, I felt like I became hyper focused on him. And at one point it was like codependence, like really obsessed, so in love, couldn't function, didn't think I could live without him. And then at another point you start to, like, find the balance between it all. And it's that regulation period where you're like, you kind of have a bunch of things ticked off. You have, like, your love bucket, you have, like, the fun, the social life, you have, like, your grounding work, your practices that make you feel the best. It's like having some, like, flow between all of those is really that sweet spot. But it's almost like you're never going to have it until you, like, experience the high of it all and then drop down to, like, that baseline again.
That's so true.
That's a really good point.
I love that.
Yeah, I love
Okay,
that.
I have another question for you. So you seem like you do a lot, like, you run your own business, you're still in acting. Like, how do you balance that with being a mother?
Oh, I didn't. I mean, I tried for 5 years. I mean, like, before I decided to go back to work, because I just did a movie for the first time in 5 years. So I was gone for a whole month, you guys, and we don't have a nanny. Now, I did have help when they were little, because when I had Geo, my first, I was doing a podcast, and it was like there was a lot of things that were just time consuming. I was trying to do content creation, and so we had more help actually when they were smaller, but even that was part-time. And you guys, it's hard. It's like I had good help, and I love her to death. She's still in our lives today. I still wanted to be so hands-on, and I just, like, had to really work hard to find the balance, because I just didn't realize that I was gonna just, I don't know, like, it was hard for me to, like, integrate back into like, fully being able to focus on work. And now my kids are 4 and 3, and I found a preschool that I love and that they love, and preschool has become an absolute game changer in our lives, because now I have, 9 to 3 at least, where I can, like, hone in, focus, do Zooms, put myself on tape, like, content, whatever, clean the house, like, whatever I can do. And then when they come back, it's like a different zone. You're just, like, fully, you cannot, like, for me at least, I'm not good at multitasking. I try really hard, even with the kids, but, like, it's like the second you step away to, like, jump on a call, all of the shit hits the fan. You're like, how is this possible? Like, and I saw a post the other day that actually made me feel better, but also, like, had me, like, reflecting quite a bit, where it was like, you can't be good at all these things, but if you could choose one of them when you're with your kids to be good at, it's like, just, like, the focus and the just, like, focus on them. Like, you can't have a clean house. You can't maybe make dinner. You can't get on the phone. You can't, like, talk to your girlfriend. You can't do all these things. But if, like, you're just doing one of them, you're doing a great job.
So true, though. Like, do one better than a bunch halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah. So, okay. So your answer, that was really inspiring, Jordan. How did you manage it? I didn't.
No, I love that though.
No, I just like checked out for a while. I immersed myself in motherhood, and I really like didn't feel like there was another way until there was. And then it was like I came out of the fog and I was like, all right, new team, new goals, new focus, new everything. And it happened. Like I think, it just happens. It literally just happens. But until then, like I had to embrace that flow that I was in.
Yeah, no, I love hearing that because, I mean, Alex, we've talked a little bit about this and why I appreciate you. It's like you're just honest about how your pregnancy's going. You're like, yeah, no, it's not great right now. Like, because everyone assumes online they have like the perfect pregnancy, the perfect work-life balance, or the perfect mommy work balance. And you're like, how do you do it all? Because I can't even focus on myself.
Yeah, you see all those photos of like you do online. So like I'm obviously behind you in the parenting journey, and then Jordan's behind us, right? So we're kind of like this.
Yeah.
And so I saw all these pregnancy photos online of people, and they were like, it's pure bliss, and like I'm not experiencing that, right? And so then I think about the work-life balance on the other side of when she's here, and I would see these photos of people like holding this sweet little newborn, and like their houses are spotless, and it's just like, that might not be the reality that happens. It might just be like a shit show for 5 years. But that's the beauty of it and the chaos of it. But it's also the reality of it. So I feel like it's really important to show that. So yeah, I agree, Jordan. I love that your answer was honest to that.
There's a level of like having to delegate certain things. Like for me, I chose to breastfeed my kids. So I realized how much of a time suck that was. And I have to like take a deep breath because I'm like, woo, that was like a full-time freaking job. But what I realized was like I couldn't do the other things, right? So like if I had to have someone come and help clean the house, or maybe I wasn't cooking as often, like so be it. Like that was just what it was. And it's refreshing too, because you kind of just have to settle into whatever your new normal is. And then it becomes like, all right, like this is what I'm good at right now. And dude, when I tell you the shifts are wild and they happen quick, because even though it feels like the days are long, like I look back and I'm like, I don't remember postpartum, even though I remember it being hard. It was harder for me than pregnancy. So it just doesn't even feel like it's part of my life anymore. Like we're in such a different stage. That's how quickly things change.
I saw you said you like forgot you were pregnant or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And I was like, what? But you do. You probably get so far away from it that everything now it's going so fast that you're like, I don't even remember that. Like I don't remember being 21 and single really. Like I'm like, huh? Who was that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, were both your pregnancies similar or very different? Because your kids, did you say, are a year apart?
They're like 16 months apart. Yeah. They were. So my first, I remember more because it was like your first, right? And I relatively had an easier pregnancy. The birth did not go at all as planned. I was going to have like a natural birth, like almost like borderline home birth or at like a birthing facility, and then ended up in an emergency C-section. And that was wild, but like he got here. I don't know if that really played a huge role in like the postpartum, but I think looking back, I certainly had postpartum anxiety for sure. Maybe a little bit of postpartum depression, but the anxiety was wild. And then my daughter's pregnancy felt like it was like non-existent because I was so busy. I was like taking care of him, and I was so concerned with like how he would acclimate to having another baby, which was so easy. It was like all in my head, again, the anxiety. That like I forgot being pregnant the second time. Like I don't really have any recollection of it.
That's
Wow.
wild.
That's crazy. They say though, like Jordan, I never thought about this until somebody puts it in perspective, but like, you know how like I'm struggling right now with one? Imagine me having to chase around though like a little 1-year-old. It's like that would be distracting.
Totally. But most of my friends, and I don't want to put anything out in the universe because I hate being this person, but most of my friends who've had a harder pregnancy have a very easy integration into being a mom. Like, it's just like smooth sails. Like when I talk to them about my postpartum experience, where it's like, it's just night and day. And I think you just have to acknowledge that like everyone's experience is going to be different, and maybe for a reason, you know?
That's true. She's
Right.
preparing you to give you an easy childhood. She's like, I'm going to get my terror
That's
out
right.
now.
Also, you won't know any different anyways. So what does it matter? Like, it's only going to be what you know, right? So, like,
That's so true, because I think about my brother and I, and my mom said my brother was an easy pregnancy, but he was Satan's little spawn as a child. Like, and I think I was the opposite. I think mine was maybe more rough, and I was a good kid.
And I was
perfect.
but your mom doesn't know any different,
Yeah.
right? And when you're in the thick of it, your whole job is to like try to get through it all the best that you can. So it's like anything else, like in work or whatever, you look back at certain things and you're like, dude, that was so wild. But when you're in it, you're like, oh, this was like, I just knew that I had to show up and do what I had to do.
So true. You look back at the mountain and you're like, that's a hill. That was nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
What's your favorite like childhood acting, like entrepreneur, mom? What's your favorite phase of life, or is it like all of them? Because I know you still act now, so it's like that could be.
No, there was like one chapter for sure. I was like 15 years old and I was really wanting to move out. So I was super motivated to work. And prior to that, I had done a lot of odd jobs. I'm sure you know, like as a kid, you're just like slinging whatever you can. And I did. I literally slang whatever I could. Not to that extent, but like I would go to Smart and Final and buy chocolate bars when I knew all the kids in school were selling chocolate bars to raise money for their school. And I was like, so am I, but like a different school. Like, so that was me. But when I was about 15 years old and I got my first job working at a retail store, a really like high-end retail store, but I worked for their jewelry counter specifically, I got a chance to make commission on like high-end jewelry, like real gold, real diamonds. And I was 15. The only reason they hired me was because I walked in, and at the time I was making jewelry for myself and just making like costume type fun jewelry. And one of the girls who worked there asked me about it, and I was like, oh no, I make this. And I had done a movie around this time that I had sold my jewelry to. So I used that as leverage. And I was like, well, I actually make jewelry. I sold it to the costume department in this, Nancy Drew movie that I did. And anyways, it was like a huge thing that got me in the door. And then I ended up working and making commission at this counter. And it was like my first taste of like, wow, like you could make money that's dependent on like your human relations, like the way that you can like relate to people. And that was like really exciting. And at the same time, I loved this restaurant that I used to go to that was such a fortune to eat at. So I would like take some of my money and go have a nice meal. And then eventually I was like, hey, you guys hiring? Because like maybe I would work here for free and trade for free food. And then I just made tip money. And the tip money was solid. So at that point I was working at this jewelry counter, the restaurant, and then I was babysitting because I ended up getting a job at the Equinox gym at the kids club and meeting all these amazing families and babysitting for them so it was like this time where I was like really motivated to like stack some cash because I wanted to move out. And I had 3 jobs in addition to like trying to audition at the same time, like audition for Hannah Montana in that period of my life. And it was just a wild, exciting rush of like doing a bunch of weird things, but like feeling really good about like throwing myself into certain situations and seeing what sticks. So that was it.
I was going to say, you've had a hustler mindset since a very young age.
Yeah, now I'm in my slow era. Now I'm in I just want to call time, show up to my job, come back to my family, take another month off.
You deserve it, though.
But you earned it.
You've lived like 20 lives already. I think you are good.
Yeah.
It has to feel good, though, to know, like, somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, I'm just tired right now. Like, I'm just in my tired phase, but I earned it. And it's like you're slow for a reason because you were fast.
Yeah, and I have this like, and I'm sure you guys do too, because you're in this world of like, you just never, what I'm going to say is like the manifesting of it all. And it's a little hoo-hooey, but like I have this deep down understanding that like I'm always going to be okay and I know that I can land on my feet. So if I'm in sort of a lull, like I've lived enough to know that the lull is just a break in between something. And so, like, I have a lot more acceptance around that now. Rather, back then, I was like, I could not handle the lulls because I had so much self-esteem built around money and, like, what I was doing and who I was in the work world. And I was also just curious. Like, I was excited to see, like, what I could do and, like, who I could be and where I would land. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. And now I just understand that, like, if anything were to ever happen and I needed to figure it out, I know that I could.
Love that. And like the anxiety is not as strong as it used to be because you understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel of this lull.
Totally. I could never do that stage of life, probably ever again.
Oh my God. I think about that all the time. People are always like, I wish I was younger. And I'm like, not me. You couldn't pay me to be in high school again or in my lower 20s. Like, not me ever.
No, and it's so true on the other side of a lull. Like it can happen in a day. Like the lull can end and you're firing on all cylinders for sometimes a year, you know? So it's like, it's so crazy. It's a really good point. You just have patience in that lull because it is a break.
I love that.
It's a break too, and it's a break until you don't even want the break anymore. Yesterday I was actually feeling like, and I'm PMSing too, so I was like actually feeling like, oh shit, like what's around the corner? Like I feel like I've had a little bit too much downtime. And with that thought process, I swear I was like, I'm going to put energy into this conversation here. I'm going to touch base on this real quick. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, there's still stuff like simmering. Like I just out of sight, out of mind. I was just on the little like break.
Right. There's plenty in the queue. It's just careful
plenty in the queue, guys.
Careful what you water, because before you know it, you're like, and I'm full.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think we understand that balance the older we get. It's like, okay, I know that if I wanted to, there's certainly like things that I could potentially do. It's just right now we're taking a little break. You know what a break is. It's like a little hiatus, Alex. You're going to be on one, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm just like, whatever it is.
You're in the flow.
I'm in the flow. That's right. Yeah, pregnancy will do that to you. You really don't get to pick it. You don't dictate it. It dictates you. So you're like, okay.
Totally.
Yeah, it's the first time I feel like you don't have control of your life anymore.
Yeah, it's really, it's a really good lesson though. Like I see how on the other side of it, if you did used to be like 0 or 100, you would kind of like surrender to the game. You know, like I see how now having your kids, you could be like, yeah, I am just in the flow. My 100 is the flow.
Yeah, that's probably a huge piece of where I'm at and why, for sure. But you know, it's kind of amazing. I remember like early days, I felt like I was not myself. I was like, I just birthed something, and I birthed a whole new version of me. And at first it was like, oh my gosh, this feels so foreign. Like, who am I? And why do I feel all these things? And why am I constantly changing and shifted? Like literally everything changed for me. And then eventually like you're that person, but like a bit of what you loved about yourself before, a bit of what you want to be in the future. It's like this really exciting evolution.
That sounds worth it.
Yeah.
That I can get excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And you have like a vice like no one, I mean, the vice is so different. Like you thought you wanted to hustle before, and maybe you won't initially, but like for me, it was like now I have no choice but to like live the best I can for this person. Like I want to be a good model. I want to show them what work ethic is. I want to show them how to be all these things that like I have a little like mini watching all the time.
One of my best friends told me that. She was like, you will not know, like you've never been fueled like you're about to be fueled. And I thought, I wonder if I'll feel that. And I've already started, even like having her with me now, I'm like, if you have a little left in the tank, like go a little harder, because it's like not just for you now. And that really is a unique feeling that I never saw coming. And I'm excited about that. But you have to know too that I find people like you really inspiring, because you sort of live a life that like I could see myself living. I no longer say I know for certainty what it will look like, but I do really admire you in the way that you word things and the way you live your life. So
that's really cool. Well, what I know about you and Harrison is that you guys are going to be so conscious, and that's really the only thing that you can do is just be in the moment and know that like whatever you're feeling and whatever you're communicating together, it's like your life and no one else can take that away from you. It's like so special. You make these decisions, good, bad, weird, strange, whatever. You're making them together for the first time, and it's like a really empowering feeling.
Yeah, like a real family unit that you have to like.
Yeah.
I feel like guardianship of it already, so I think that will only get bigger when she's like on the outside. So yeah, it's a wild ride.
Super cool.
It'd be so exciting.
I know. And you, Jordan, I heard your episode with your boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he's the best.
You guys are so cute.
We're,
he's so cute.
I'm like moving all my stuff into his apartment next week already, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're making that next
Dude,
big
and if
step.
the only thing you're worried about is morning routine, like, you are Gucci.
Right? I know. I'm
Yeah,
so
like-
lucky that him and I are so compatible because, I mean, I've been in a lot of like interesting situations and I'm just like, girls, if you just keep pushing, you'll find your person. That makes life so easy.
I like to say, like, when I met Andrew, it was like I got the butterflies, but it was like a different kind of butterfly. It was like almost this feeling of calm. And now to this day, like, he's going out of town with my son. They're doing a Dude's Day weekend with some friends of his from back home and like their sons. And I said, I know this is like the most exciting thing, and my son cannot wait for it. But I'm like, it's that feeling of like being young again and knowing that he's not going to be here. And it's like, you are my rock. It's that peace that I feel knowing that he's home in our, like, I just like him here.
I know what you mean.
So I know that feeling.
Yeah, because like in the past you'd get butterflies, but really it was truly anxiety because you never knew like where you stood with this man or like what he was bringing.
It's like, oh shit.
But then when you find someone comforting, like I remember Pete, I would get so like excited butterflies where I was like, I'm not anxious, I'm truly excited, and I feel so calm at the same time. And like I still get that if I don't see him for like 2 days. I'm like, when can I see you? I'm so excited to see you.
It's awesome. It's the best.
They are the best. But that'd be fun, and then you and your daughter can have a little girls' weekend.
I know. I gotta girly up my I need more like girly energy for it. I'm like, what do I do? The first thing that came to mind, I'm like, do I take her to get her nails done for the first time? Like,
Oh, that could be
I
fun.
know. Yeah, it could be fun. It could be fun. She's similar to me though, because like I was kind of like a tomboy growing up. I mean, she's got big energy. My son is very cautious, very sensitive, very intellectual, wants to just have a conversation. My daughter is like jumping off the couch. She's fiery.
I'm dead. I love that.
She's youngest child.
Yeah, totally.
That's really cute. No, you guys will have a fun weekend. Maybe you'll bake something or get
Yeah,
the nails
something.
done or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
She'll love it. She'll love time with you. Just getting time with you will
yeah.
be really sweet and special.
Yeah, for sure. That one-on-one is always so wild. You learn so much more about them. Like, without the distractions, you're like, wait. I even like when we're in the car and it just happens to be one of them, I just feel instantly like they are just a different little human. When they're not competing for the attention, it's cool.
I do bet that's a thing. Yeah, one-on-one time, it does. They don't need the competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Well, Danielle, we want to be very conscious of your time.
Thank you, Daniela. That was amazing. Okay, that's it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening to Mean Girl Pod, powered by Just Media House. I'm Alex Bennett.
And I'm Jordan Woodruff. So, AB, do what you do best.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. We are at Mean Girl Pod on all platforms. Stay connected with us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Snapchat at Mean Girl Pod. Podcast and social artwork and post-production by Creative Evolution Studios. Theme song to the Mean Girl Pod performed by Sergi Asbel. Mean Girl Pod, we're your besties in your ear. New episodes every Monday.